starts here.
Now that we're all prepared, let's start the show.
Now, Miggs and Swig, Life Out Loud on 102.5 The Bone.
Let's get the show on the road.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour.
Whoa! Happy Hot Topic!
What's going on, Tampa Bay? This is Ryan Hoppe here for the next 15 minutes, taking over the Miggs and Swig Show. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe. Call the show at 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. You don't believe me that the phone lines are wide open? Check this out. It's right there. Phone lines are wide open. So you can call in. You can always talk to me. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. You can tweet at me at Ryan Hoppe Radio, and you can always email me, ryanhopperadio@gmail.com. And before I get into the poll of the day and everything going on with Mike Tyson, I want to remind you guys tonight, the night's young, so I don't have any thought in my brain that any of you have tonight planned out. I feel like April 23rd, 2022 is like the day that no one knows what they're doing. So I'm going to tell you right now, you want to have a great meal? You want to have a great date night? Hey, maybe you're single. Trust me, the scenery is amazing at Meat Market in Hyde Park Village. It's at 1606 West Snow Avenue, and that's in Tampa. 1606 West Snow Avenue. 813-280-1113. It's 813-280-1113. And for all the info, meatmarket.net. And when you go there, be sure to tell them that you heard about it on Hoppe Hour taking over the Miggs and Swig Show, and they'll give you a great deal. I mean, some of the best meat I've ever had. For all the info, meatmarket.net. All right, so every time I fill in either on Miggs and Swig or the Mike O radio show or the Mike Calta show, John Brennan gave me the idea 3 weeks ago to like have a poll and to put it on my Twitter and to get a response. Like one of the greats of all time, Neil Rogers, used to do that 25, 30 years ago when all there was internet polls because there wasn't social media in the 90s. So this is a direct reflection and shout out to Neil Dwyer. I did not come up with this bit. Just being real. But on my Twitter, at Ryan Hoppe Radio, it said, did Mike Tyson have the right to punch that man? And I'll get into the news clip real quick. But first, 92.9% of Tampa Bay is violent. 92.9% of Tampa Bay is manly, which would be the Bones audience. Because 92.9% of you said it was right for Mike Tyson to punch that man on the airplane, and only 7.1% of you said no. For a minute there, it was a hot 100% of people said it was cool. I usually don't advocate for violence. I got into a decent amount of fights growing up, and I think I have a 0 for 20 record. I always got beat up very badly at the bus, but hey, it makes you a better person. So I'm not the biggest fan of violence. But let me tell you, people hate on millennials all the time, and rightfully so. But a lot of us have been given a bad hand, a bad economy, everything's expensive. So a lot of times I want to defend millennials. But then when you see this jerk off sitting right behind Mike Tyson, bothering him on an airplane, and he appeared to be a loser, alcoholic, late 20s millennial that has no idea where his life is going, it makes you go, I get why people hate my generation. The other thing that I thought was funny was, you know, like when you go to Soho to get a drink, and there's that one guy who like opens up their crypto app. And there's been many TikToks about it and videos online of like the footage. You see the crypto bro showing the girl, oh, this is how much I have in my fake wallet. That guy that was bothering Mike Tyson had that same energy. I bet he knows where all celebrities are at all times. He goes to all the autograph signings. He gets all the selfies. Then he puts it on Tinder and Bumble. And he's like, hey, I hang out with all the celebrities. He just had that grimy vibe where he's using and manipulating everybody around him for his own greater good. Because deep down, he's accomplished nothing. And his only fame will be getting his ass slightly beat by Mike Tyson. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025.
Mike Tyson is speaking out after footage surfaces that appears to show him in a violent confrontation.
I love when they don't want to like use like the direct exact word of visual footage of Mike Tyson beating up somebody. They'll use the word alleged like that wasn't Mike Tyson on camera. Oh, it's a different guy.
Footage surfaces that appears to show him in a violent confrontation.
Doesn't appear to show him. It clearly shows him.
The video, which TMZ posted Thursday morning, allegedly shows the former heavyweight on board a plane where he repeatedly punches another passenger.
But they're leaving out the part. The media's like trying to make such a big deal out of this. They're leaving out that he was a punk, disrespectful jerk off who was bothering Mike Tyson. We seem to leave that part out. Because, like, when I got the New York Post headline, it was like, and I just get them for radio prep, and they're a pretty good news source. They just are dramatic in every headline they ever do at the New York Post. And it was like, Mike Tyson attacks man on airplane. And I'm like, I don't really believe that. He's pretty zenned out. I don't know if you've watched Top Boxing with Mike Tyson, his podcast. I don't know if you get what he did there because it's about weed. And, Mike Tyson's a very laid-back guy. So the fact that this kid got Mike Tyson to punch him shows how hateable he is.
Now, a rep for Tyson tells ET, unfortunately, Mr. Tyson had an incident on a flight with an aggressive passenger who began harassing him and threw a water bottle at him while he was in his seat.
You just can't go, hey, I'm just winging it. You can't wing it in life.
And it's like, I don't know how to word this. So it's like, this kid who threw the water bottle at Mike Tyson and this kid who disrespected Mike Tyson, he's sort of looking down on him in the way that he's like, oh, this is a guy who has knocked out people. And this is a guy who's crazy and has been to prison. Let me poke the bear because I'm a sociopath. Let me bother him because I'm a sociopath. It's like you're viewing him like he's in a circus. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, there's people that always try to piss off Kanye West and that. It really shows that if this is the only time that Mike Tyson has reacted, 99.9% of the time, he's a changed man. And this wasn't even that bad.
There's also new details from law enforcement. In a statement to ET, the San Francisco Police Department confirms there was a physical altercation.
You don't need to confirm anything.
And while
that's just the that's just the cops looking for anything to do with the case. You don't need to tell us, hey, that was Mike Tyson on the camera. We're aware. We have eyes.
A physical altercation. And while they're not confirming Tyson's involvement at this time, here's what we do know. Wednesday night, officers were dispatched to San Francisco International Airport. 2 subjects believed to be involved in the incident were detained. One of them was treated for non-life-threatening injuries.
It was barely a bruise on the face. He could have killed that guy.
This person also remained tight-lipped when speaking to authorities and refused to cooperate further with the investigation. And that widely circulated video, it's been sent to the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. Tyson last spoke to ET in 2015 while promoting his documentary.
Anybody on this planet, you could beat him in a fair fight.
Including a jerk-off that's poking me on the flight. The other thing that I find funny about this is the fact that it's just like, we all know he's crazy. And this kid was obviously looking for attention. He was obviously looking for clout. And unfortunately, he kind of got that. Because the worst part is if you react to somebody, you're letting them win. Now, if they're disrespecting your kids or your significant other, then you got to protect the honor. But if it's just some dude at a bar being a jerk-off, just walk away. Someone says something mean on social media, block them. There is more power in not reacting than reacting. And I'm not saying Mike Tyson should or should not have reacted, but there is a lot of power. You can knock somebody out all you want, but not responding and letting the haters or letting your opponent or whatever bark and bark and bark over and over up a tree and you're just ignoring them, that's also called being a baller.
His documentary.
Anybody on this planet, you could beat them in a fair fight. So you tell me how that'll feed your ego.
He told us he had big plans for his next chapter.
Movies, producing movies, directing movies, owning movies. It's just, I wish I could really tell you about these deals we have, but when these deals, when the deals get established, you're gonna say, whoa, Mike is doing this? It's really, from a business perspective of entertainment, it's really, it's something I never dreamed of doing.
I gotta admit, though, the kid that threw the water bottle at Mike Tyson, that kid has a lot of guts. Because I'm sitting here behind a board doing a radio show, watching a YouTube clip from Entertainment Tonight, and I know it's a visual, but Mike Tyson is just so intimidating, and he's just talking about the projects he's going to do. I cannot imagine getting him mad. I mean, that must have been very surreal. I mean, the best part about the video is the fact that the kid looks like such a bitch at the end of it. He's like kind of crying. He's all beat up. 2022.
Something I never thought I was able to do.
But the latest doesn't exactly have Tyson's stamp of approval. Following news of a biopic TV series in development at Hulu, Tyson blasted the project for, quote, cultural appropriation.
You know why else he might not like this upcoming show? Is it's probably going to show the dark side of Mike Tyson that we all suppress. It seems like when The Hangover came out 15 years ago and he's there on the piano and he punches them in the face, like that was like when Mike Tyson came back and was cool. Then he had the very underrated Mike Tyson's cartoon on Adult Swim where Norm Macdonald played a pigeon. It was a great show. It sounds dumb, but it was great. And we've embraced him. He's got this podcast about the law of attraction, hotboxing with Mike Tyson. But he has done some things in the past that aren't the best. And I'm sure there's things that are going to come out now from the past that we're going to find out he did. So, of course, he's not going to be happy about this new show about him. It's not going to show his good side or the way we view him. Think about it this way. I haven't watched it yet. It's been on my list because I just got done watching Power, the Ray Donovan movie, Ozark. I write down what I want to watch, and then I cross it off. And the next thing on my list is this Lakers Time, I think it's called. It's this show. It's a biopic on HBO Max about the raunchy side of Magic Johnson in the 80s and early 90s for the Los Angeles Lakers. Because everybody, like, talks about, oh, he's a good basketball player. He survived HIV. He also was like the original Brandon Florida. It was like he brought the Brandon Florida mindset to Los Angeles. That dude was having orgies on orgies. Think about that in the 80s. You have no celebrities, or you have a ton of celebrities, but none of them can be accessed on social media. So when you hear that Magic Johnson is having a party, you're going to go. So, of course, these famous celebrities don't like these biopics. They make them look like human. Last thing before I go. You know what I can't wait to watch tonight? So I've been watching the NBA playoffs, but there's that Girls Gone Wild documentary, Joe Francis, that scumbag. And it's going to be on right after the NBA playoffs, which seems like a weird transition. Here's basketball, and here's women being exploited. Bizarre. But this documentary is going to be unique. It's about Girls Gone Wild from 20 years ago, which was like the first time I saw boobs, and it was at like 3 a.m. during Adult Swim, and it just didn't feel right that was the first time I saw boobs. I mean, it sort of went on to explain my life in a way.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour.
You're listening to Miggs and Swig on 102.5 The Bone.